Good morning. So I think I'm going to turn around and head back towards Magdala. But we're quite a stretch here north of Magdala. We're not too far from Guinnessar. Here we see the top of the Guinnessar Jesus Boat Museum. Oops, sorry. Here behind the trees there. You can see that structure up high there. That's the top of that museum building. The Yigala Lawn building, I think. And then we have the rising sun. Scientists call it a star, a small star. And then we have Tiberius down here. And we're going to start walking this direction. There we have Mount Arbel. This is a nice view of Mount Arbel. In fact, it's a very good view because you can see the cliffs, the northern cliffs, and in the same picture, the southern cliffs. And that's the extent of Mount Arbel here on its northeastern slope. It's a very beautiful morning. And we have wonderful readings today. A different angle on things. We have a great desire in the psalm to live in God's house. The God of the universe, the God who created the whole universe, to live in his house. One thing I seek, to dwell in the house of the Lord. And we could say that here in nature, this is the first big dwelling place of the Lord with humanity. In the story of the Garden of Eden. With its trees. Oh, there we have Magdala as well. I want to show that because we have some friends in Magdala. So they can see their beautiful Magdala with its views of the Sea of Galilee and Mount Arbel. And so that beautiful line in Genesis where God is walking with Adam and Eve in the garden in the cool breeze of the afternoon. And we're beginning to appreciate the cool breeze here as temperatures climb over 30, well over 30 degrees these days. Yesterday was a little cooler, but we're heading that direction. To dwell in the house of the Lord. Obviously the psalm is referring to the temple in Jerusalem, but the backdrop of God's presence in nature, that contact, that awareness of our Creator, the giver of every good gift. All the little critters that have their life in this little habitat. We use the word in biology, right? Habitat. And then we have that wonderful expression and organization that builds houses for needy people, Habitat for Humanity. And that's one of the contents of redemption, that we learn to live with each other and not fight each other, not condemn each other, to leave space for each other. Also recognizing the mystery that is unfolding in each other that we don't control. a mystery that is the richness of every person in creation. And maybe all the diversity of plants is to teach us that as well. To teach us that some can be green and others can flower at a different moment. And so we have a great education in all the different birds and all of nature. To get out in nature is such a good thing for children, especially in a time of addictions to all the wonderful tools we have for education and communication, powerful tools of resourcing knowledge. And then in our first reading we have a very wise person, really wise. His name is Gamaliel. His name has gone down in history. And he gives a speech. It would be an interesting thing to do, to make a collection of really wise speeches that we find in Scripture. And this man is bringing a tone of moderation. He recognizes people have very fired up passions and understandings of things. But he also recognizes that it could be dangerous that they proceed on their course of action without taking other aspects into account. The wonderful work of parents helping children to open their eyes for a sibling or for a grandparent or for somebody who's sick in the family or for a neighbor who is in need. To bring people into focus, people that are seeing things differently than I am, experiencing things differently than I am, have different convictions than I have different priorities. Some might be eucalyptus and others might be a budding palm tree. And to learn to recognize that there's maybe some designer and some dominion that's above my design and my dominion and my competence and my pay grade. I heard an interesting comment recently, or a concept, institutional self-restraint. Sometimes it's very easy to apply pressure and force and power to accomplish goals. But how long do we have power? How long does it last in our hands? And we set patterns in motion that then become normative, and other people are going to be in power later, and maybe we bring out all our heavy guns with somebody else to bring them out in a different direction later on. That line that Jesus said was amazing, you know, in Gethsemane. He was about to be betrayed. He was being betrayed. He was already betrayed, really. And Peter takes out his sword. And Jesus says to him, "He who lives by the sword will die by the sword." Put away your sword. There's no human realm that lasts infinitely for all kinds of various reasons. And yet we're called to live forever in the house of the Lord with so many others. I always find it fascinating. Oh, I pointed out these trees to you. We got to hear it the other day. I'm just fascinated by the strength of these trees and their endurance. Even these survived fires. And the new one coming out from the older one, the palm tree there. And then we have the harvest field here, harvested, the barley harvest for Easter. Maybe we can just go in here to wrap up this morning. And the aftergrowth is coming already. We're 2 weeks after Easter already almost. So that's a nice spot, isn't it, to finish? Well, I think we have lots of thoughts there. We didn't get to do the multiplication of the loaves. It's another side of society's life. It's institutional restraint on the one hand, but then involving others. And Jesus asked Philip, he asked, is it Philip? Yeah, I think he asked Philip, do you have anything, or how are we going to feed these people? Interesting question, you know. Where can we buy enough food for them to eat? And Philip doesn't have the answer, but then Andrew is listening and he gets involved. The initiative. There's a boy here that has 5 loaves and 2 fish, but then the danger of dismissing it as irrelevant. People, may you be blessed in your family today with the children, the grandchildren, other relatives. Maybe you're living far away from them. It's time for a phone call, for a little video conference call. May you be blessed as you involve other people and bring in wisdom like Gamaliel and blessing. See you later, alligators. At the latest in heaven.